this elimination game, and BU off to a great start, a 5-0 lead on Louisville, and they stake their sophomore transfer Melanie Russell to an early advantage. Russell appearing for the 22nd time this season. She missed about a month with a rib injury. It is her 16th start. She got the start yesterday against Arizona for the second time in her career.
Sticks out to me, 22 walks and 109 innings pitched. She throws in the low 60s. Yesterday we saw her more in the high 50s. Her best pitches are her rise and her curveball, and her movement's key. She's more of a spin pitcher, also known as more of a thumber. So it's going to be important for these Louisville hitters to identify those pitches and let it travel.
Let's take a look at the Louisville lineup. It's brought to you by Capital One. Hannah Kiyahara quietly had a very solid day at the plate yesterday.
And right in the middle of the order is senior for them. These seniors step up when it matters most. And Katie Keller up at the top right now, a good example of that for Louisville.
Kiyahara had 3 RBI yesterday, and Keller hit in a completely different spot. Sandy Pearsall is known for switching around her lineups often. And Keller today is in the leadoff spot. McNary moving down to the number 2 spot today. And Keller sends one deep to left field. And Fernandez will watch that sail out. A leadoff home run for Katie Keller. Her 4th in the last 2 weekends. The 7th of the season. And Louisville's on the board just like that.
Well, the first batter that Melanie Russell threw against last night was Hallie Wilson for Arizona. Struck her out looking. Much different start to the game here with Katie Keller. 2 awesome leadoff hitters that Russell goes up against, and Keller getting all of this inside pitch. About belt high, Keller is that type of player, the senior. She's fighting for her season every single pitch of this game.
Only one player has played more games in a Louisville uniform than Keller. Second all time with 236 games. What a play by Clendenny to rob McNary of a base hit. And there's the first out of the bottom of the first.
These are the type of great plays that I'm talking about that your defense has to make. A line drive to the shortstop, Brittany McClenny. She's actually moving more towards the 5-6 hole, but then dives up the middle, or more towards up the middle, to make that grab.
This is an improved BU defense, though the outfield did have some issues last night, specifically Connolly and Mask, but Fernandez, Connolly, Mask, a solid outfield for the most part. On the infield, the freshman Union moved to third base around spring break. That was when everything kind of fell into place. Clendenny at short, Feldbaum at second, Kerr at first, and Eckhart very solid doing the catching. And here is Brittany Duncan, who hit a home run yesterday for the Cardinals. Transfer from Valparaiso. Very solid hitter her first 2 years in college softball.
You've been to Valpo before, right?
I have, as a matter of fact. It's a lovely campus. It's graduation day at Valpo today. There's a strike.
And here too at Arizona, I believe.
And we were looking out to see if we could find the Phi Delta Thetas, and I think they're all in their cap and gown right now. Maybe they'll hang out at the frat house later. 1-2 on Duncan. Home run last night was her 10th of the season already. That's the Phi Delta Theta house right there. During Arizona Wildcat games, that house gets very loud and you hear a lot of cheers, and a lot of the frat kids are cheering on the Wildcat softball team. A close pitch. Duncan took it, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, a really close pitch on the outside part of the plate. Good spin.
And that's pulled into right field for a base hit. Second hit of the tournament for Duncan so far, and she just made it in time on the throw from Mask.
Yeah, Louisville's hitters don't seem to be fooled. 3 up, and all have hit the ball very sharply, sharper than I think that we saw Arizona hit off of Melanie Russell last night. And they were just really thrown off by her movement and the speed of her pitches and also the spin. But Louisville looks like they're up there with a plan, letting the ball travel and letting that movement take its course and then be able to go with that pitch.
There's Kayla Souls. Had a solid game yesterday as well, with a double, a couple of runs scored, and an RBI. Souls in the cleanup spot today, was hitting down in the 6 hole yesterday. And again, that just emphasizing what Sandy Pearsall has done this year and is known for, it just switching around a lineup, and no one ever really gets comfortable, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in a lineup that has a lot of distribution of power.
Even Jones down at the bottom of the order.
That's right.
Double-digit home runs.
Popped up. First baseman Kerr calls it and makes the grab. 2 down. Now Hanaki Ahara to the plate, and her numbers down a little bit this year. Had a monster junior season when she hit a career high 342, but had a great game yesterday. Senior leader on this team. Flare towards short, and Clendenny makes a couple of plays in that first inning to end the frame. But Katie Keller, after BU puts up 5 in the top of the frame, Keller at least gets Louisville on the board with her 4th home run in 2 weekends. Cardinals are within 4 through 1. We're in the desert. A 5-1 lead for BU on Louisville as we head to the bottom half of the second. NCAA Softball Regionals presented by Capital One. BU had not played a game in 100-degree temperatures this season until today. That is right behind home plate, so that is field level essentially here in Tucson. The winner of this elimination game is going to play another one tonight against LSU, which had its comeback fall a little bit short against the Wildcats, who move on to the regional final. They'll await the winner of that second elimination game. You'll see it right here on ESPN later on tonight.
The scores on that bracket, unreal.
As Maggie Ruckenbrod stands in and takes one down and in. Ton of 2-out runs, ton of runs in general. Was it 59 runs already in this NCAA tournament? 60 runs, counting that home run from Keller, as Ruckenbrod lines out to Mask. This is because our crew, which has done yeoman's work in the truck these last couple of days, and they're so clever, they wrote who's hot in the Tucson Regional, and this is very apropos. Wilson had 2 homers today. Landry has been very good in the 9 spot for LSU, and Kerr obviously for BU. First pitch to Fowler is low.
And I want to say, though, about Hallie Wilson. It's been the 9-hole Chelsea Sweetos for Arizona who's helped turn over the order to get Hallie Wilson up to bat in those big moments. So kind of her partner in crime. But, yeah, those 3 really, I mean, I would think I would have picked the, I'd say that there's nobody else that you could pick that are the hottest hitters, especially Bailey Landry in the 9-hole.
It's hard to pick when you do have 60 runs in 3+ games.
Right.
Everybody's doing something, you would think.
Definitely the players that come to mind first.
Well, pitchers on the board right now. This is a tough regional to be a pitcher with 4 offenses that are all in the top 62 in run scoring, including the #1 team, Arizona, in the country in scoring. Louisville's got power. BU's got some speed, and their power numbers have been much better as of late. 3-2 on Fowler.
Melanie Russell known for that spin. This game started out with a Katie Keller home run, and ever since then, Russell's tried to settle in, but the first at-bats that Louisville had were some pretty crushed balls off of her, the first 3 hitters.
They squared her up pretty well. Again, you're right, these last few hitters starting to feel some of that spin. You'd think Russell's starting to ease in a little bit.
It's a meaningful game. You're playing for the ability to extend your season.
Another payoff pitch to Tanner Fowler. That's hard hit towards the gap, and that gets all the way to the wall. Connolly fires in, but Fowler beats the throw into second with a double.
Tanner Fowler works a nice at bat, works it to a full count, and got jammed and just kind of mixed up on a couple of pitches, but then gets one that's up in the zone. You see the location of that pitch. It's about belt high, and even though it's trying to make its way outside of the plate, it just didn't get far enough out there, and it's not low enough, and ends up in left center.
Now Whitney Arian to the plate in the 8 spot. And she puts down a bunt. Late covering first base was Fellbaum, and safe at first is Arian on a very impressive bunt. Fowler reaches third.
A couple of times, Emily Fellbaum, the second baseman for Boston University, has been late getting over to cover first base on a drag, and this is exactly what happened here with Whitney Arian. Doing more, not a sacrifice bunt, but more of a sneaky bunt, and it snuck up on the second baseman, Fellbaum.
And here is Kelsey Jones taking a big cut, leading home run hitter for Louisville. And this was the play at first base, the hustle. And that was a very close play. Fellbaum, the second baseman, was covering, and Arian was trying to beat it out.
One thing you notice is that her foot was at the back of the bag instead of the front, and you never know, this is a game of inches. If she would have been covering and got over there in time to get to the front of the bag, if that would have been a potential out. And things kind of got mixed up because of the Arian drag bunt, but you see she's at the back of the bag. If she would have been just a half step forward at the front of the bag, that could have potentially, like I said, been an out for BU and been easier for the umpire to make that call.
Swing and a miss. Jones goes down for the second out. That's a big out for Russell to get against Louisville's top home run hitter. Now Keller will come to the plate, having homered her first time up.
22, KD Keller.
Outside ball one to Keller, who is playing in her 236th game at Louisville. Only Courtney Moore played in more. 241 games is the all-time record.
Katie Keller had that amazing American Conference tournament to get into this postseason and was named National Player of the Week. So she's just been on fire in her last 5 games, really, 4 home runs. And I remember Katie Keller telling us before the game started that all she could hear was Sandy Pearsall in her ear say, come on, get it done. This isn't going to be the end of your season.
And she's the all-time Louisville walks leader as well. That's the 120th walk of Katie Keller's career, more than any other Cardinal. And the bases are loaded for Jordan McNary. A big opportunity for McNary here, the freshman who does not have a home run in her career and has only had 43 at-bats on the season. She hit the ball hard to Clendenny her first time. Ball 1.
And in these offensive games, the score can just change so quickly. It just takes one hitter to come up with the bases loaded and either clear him with a triple or clear him with a home run.
McNary suddenly the tying run at the plate. And I don't think Louisville's all that concerned with tying the game right now in the second, but a base hit for McNary would do wonders for the Cardinals.
Lots of room in right center field.
To short, tough hop. Clendenny throws to third and gets the force out there. I was thinking she might have only had one shot at getting the inning ending out. She got it on the force at third to get Arian, and the inning is over. 5-1 BU. BU leads Louisville 5-1 in this elimination game. We're through 2.5 in Tucson, and it's time for our pick you up moment of the game. It is brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and it came off the bat of Emily Fellbaum, a 3-run home run to cap a 5-run first.
Just picking her team up in the first inning. And that 5 runs that BU scored in the first inning have just been huge. It's been the only runs that they've scored the whole game, but Fellbaum coming up big.
Designated player number 45, Brittany Duncan.
Russell has been able to work with a lead this entire game. She'll face the heart of the Louisville order, though, Duncan, Souls, and Kiyahara here in the bottom of the third. Duncan a single her first time. Takes a strike to start his second at bat. Duncan takes a lot of walks as well. She's patient. Count is even at a ball and a strike on the Fairborn, Ohio native who hit .366 in a couple of years at Valparaiso. And those solid numbers helped Valpo get to its first two ever NCAA tournaments, 2012 and 2013. She was out really of the lineup last year in 2013 in the tournament, though. Didn't play at all. Now, in 2012, though, she was a major factor. Ended up getting a base hit against Louisville. The first NCAA tournament game Valpo ever played was against these Cardinals. So Sandy Pearsall knows Brittany Duncan pretty well. Got a chance to see her. And then that, of course, tournament game, I remember watching it. We actually had it on television on ESPN. And Alicia Wolney, who was a great hitter for Louisville, a walk-off 3-run home run with 2 strikes and 2 outs in the 7th to beat Valpo in its first tournament game. Payoff pitch. And we said it, she has no problem drawing walks. Set a single season record this year. That's her 48th walk of the season.
Just a good sign of a good hitter. Willing to go up there and have some discipline at the plate, because Duncan, Coach Pearsall told us she loves to hit. So when you're the type of player that loves to hit, sometimes you can get anxious, put pressure on yourself, and get out of your strike zone. But I love the fact that Duncan can go up there and take a walk just as much as she can get the big RBI hit.
How about that? 50 hits and 48 walks. Very high OB percentage here for Brittany Duncan. Paige Alford comes in to pinch run for Duncan. She's aboard with Souls coming to the plate. There's Alford. Louisville native is in. First pitch inside to Souls, who popped out her first time. Career highs in on base and slugging for Souls this season. Had just 4 home runs in her first 2 years. She's hit 9 this year.
It's a nice pitch there by Russell, running that curveball on the outside part of the plate.
One and two.
And you know, Russell's not going to blow it by you. She only throws about 57, 58, 59 with that curveball, but she's known for her movement. And sometimes a lot of people get hung up on just thinking about speed whenever they're teaching young pitchers. And speed's great, but also if you add in a little bit of movement. So if Russell actually threw probably 64 or 65, she wouldn't have nearly the amount of movement she has now.
Hard hit to short, could be 2. Clendenny to first, double play. Hard hit right at Clendenny, who's made a couple of really solid plays already today.
Yeah, she really has. She had that one ball last night go through her legs, and then ever since she hasn't looked back. A sharply hit ball that's taking her up towards the middle, steps on 2, goes to 1. I got this by myself, double play, quick 2 outs.
About as tailor-made as you can ask for in softball. Here's Kiyahara, fouled away. Doesn't happen often. But when you get the ball taking you right to the bag at second, you better put down 2.
Yeah, and she was positioned perfectly. Not too much down the left side of the field, but more shading towards center field, and had it played just right.
Kiyahara, part of a senior class that has tallied 176 wins. This is their 4th trip to the NCAA tournament as a senior class. Between her and Keller and Connell and Fowler and Ruckenbrod. I guess part of the senior class, Lecoq too, although she wasn't here all 4 years. It's a very high-quality senior class. They've made an impact during more success for Louisville these last 4 seasons.
Yeah, I agree. You come in as a class together, you end up being close friends.
Snared by Unin, and the freshman makes the play to close out the third. Russell faces the minimum. We'll head to the fourth, and Sandy Pearsall is on deck when you come back to Tucson. BU up a half dozen on Louisville to the bottom of the fourth. Catherine Gleason, head coach of the Terriers, joins us. Coach, Melanie Russell gave up. I know that she gave up that home run to start the ball game. She's settled in pretty nicely. Her defense has done well. What's the difference you're seeing from yesterday to today?
I think she just needs to settle down and trust her defense. You know, we told her at the beginning of the game, just give us a ground ball and fly ball. We're going to get it for you today. And, you know, that was the main goal talking about just approaching the day is let us play defense, and we're behind you.
Well, speaking of defense, I was going to ask you about Brittany Clendenny at shortstop. Had that one ball go in between her legs last night, but other than that, she's been so solid. What do you see out of her and the difference that she makes for your defense?
Oh, just her energy and attacking the ball. You know, we talked about attacking the ball on offense and defense, and she did a great job in that line drive off the slapper, and then turning the double play, you know, helped us out after Mel walked the leadoff batter. So just attacking.
Coach, thanks very much for the time as always.
Thank you.
Second season for Catherine Gleason. A lot of NCAA experience on this staff between Jen McIntyre and Jordan Taylor. Bill McDonald, who's been at Boston University for 13 seasons. There's Melanie Russell's line. Has had 3 walks, 4 hits, but the only run, the Katie Keller home run. First batter that Russell faced in this game when she was staked to a 5-0 lead. Now it's 7-1. And Maggie Ruckenbrod takes a strike to start the bottom of the fourth. In the air towards the gap. Long run for Mask, and she makes the catch. Exactly what Catherine Gleason was just telling us about. Letting her defense, Melanie Russell's defense, make plays behind her despite some shakiness last night. They've been really rock solid today.
Yeah, Jamie Mask, when she was moving more towards down the foul line, got into a little bit of trouble in a couple of plays against Arizona, but here she's covering that right center field gap pretty well.
Here's Fowler. And you do bring up an interesting and I think apt point that it is an easier play to make going to your right as a right-handed fielder, making that play to make a catch on a fly, than it is to go towards the line.
I don't know if she was, and if she was worried about the wall too.
Talk about last night?
Yeah, last night, yeah. There in the middle of the field, you're running after that ball, and all you're thinking about is catching it, not worried about really running into anything.
Fowler pops it up on the infield. Who wants it? It'll be the third baseman, Unin, calling off Kerr and Russell to make the catch.
Yeah, immediately Melanie Russell knew that she didn't want any part of it, but that's a good job of Chelsea Kerr of letting go of that call. They were both going for it, both corners, but third baseman is going to take over priority in that situation.
2 up and 2 down for Arian, trying to make up for some poor defense, which again is rare. Louisville's a decent, solid defensive team with a lot of experience. Keller made some mistakes in that inning. Arian has had a rough weekend thus far. These are rare mistakes for experienced players. And good ones at that.
Yeah, and a lot of seniors out on the field too, especially on the infield for Louisville. And sometimes you can put a lot of pressure on yourself. And I know coming before the American tournament and during the season, Coach Pearsall was talking about the fact that Louisville had a mentality that was more playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And I think that kind of shows sometimes in an elimination game is who is going to be the team that comes out with nothing to lose or playing to win versus playing not to lose. A big difference.
That was smoked into the BU dugout.
Yeah, that was weird. That was really weird.
Gabby Martinez went flailing out of the way of it. He's all right. Everybody is.
Well, it just didn't look like Arian was going to swing at it, and then it's like at the last possible minute.
Very defensive swing there. And Jen McIntyre got a laugh out of it too. Jordan Taylor over there. Still 1-2 on Arian.
It's great to have these players who just recently got out of college who are giving back to the game. Jordan Taylor is one of them, deciding to come back and coach. He even played over in Japan and played professionally for the NPF, the USSSA Pride.
And played for Beth Tarina, who gave up her duties. Tarina's a new mother of 2 now, so I believe it's Jerry Gleason who took over. Jerry Glasgow.
Yep.
Glasgow took over this season for the NPF. Arizona's got some young coaches, some alumni. Caitlin Lowe and Alicia Hollowell. Lowe obviously was part of a couple of championships.
Just the
Courtney
players,
Scott.
and the players have so much respect too for any coach. But if you just saw recently a player who was out there competing in Oklahoma City within the past 5 or 6 years, they look at you just wide-eyed and they just want to please and will take your advice and listen to your experience and information you're given.
Somebody you watched when you were in high school, probably. In the air, well struck, right center. Connolly will try to play it off the bottom of the fence. Arian will slide into second base with a 2-out double. Well struck off the bat of Arian in a very good at bat, 9 pitches. And she is in a scoring position with 2 outs.
That's a good job that she's making up for her defense right here with this swing. A low and away curveball just drives it right back up the middle. Just a really pretty swing. And Connolly getting that one off the wall, not even to the warning track, but knows that she's going to end up not going for the catch, but just going to take the play off the wall.
And now can Kelsey Jones get going? Hit to Clendenny, it's short. She's been rock solid today, and the inning over. Russell works around the 2-out double, and we head to the 5th, a 7-1 lead for BU.